Welcome back, everybody. Mezzo Matt with another forecast for you guys. Appreciate y'all for watching this. We've got a lot to talk about today. We've got a significant flash flooding event that is ongoing in parts of the Gulf Coast right now. Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, all in the threat for flash flooding over the next couple of days. We've actually got a moderate flash flood outlook, a slight and a marginal flash flood outlook. And when we typically talk about those words, they're typically associated with severe weather. This is for flash flooding. If you guys can't see on the screen here, those big black and white colors that are on the off the coast of Louisiana there, that is what's kind of flip-flopped back and forth here with a potential for a tropical system to develop. National Hurricane Center really not seeing that organization. They went ahead and got rid of that 10% risk zone that we had yesterday in place over the coast of Texas and Louisiana, and now we are just seeing a lot of rain. We actually had a tornado warning yesterday or last night around the or outside of New Orleans area, really out way far away from New Orleans, but off the coast of the Louisiana area there yesterday. And now we're watching that rain really continue to ramp up here. That moderate risk has been issued for New Orleans, Baton Rouge, Lafayette area, all the way into parts of southwestern Mississippi. And then we've got a level 2 out of 4 risk for flash flooding into parts of Mississippi, Alabama, Florida, Georgia, and then a marginal risk that expands out. So we're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about that big old orange blob that you guys see down in the Yucatan. And that has been back and forth, back and forth, back and forth with the potential for tropical development. And the models now, the European and the GFS now, are starting to show a good chance for a tropical depression or storm to develop over the next 7 days here. This actually could bring this actually is going to bring some major impacts to Texas and Louisiana once again next week, as we see more significant rainfall that could fall over those areas that have been impacted this whole entire week. So we're going to talk about that. I do want to go ahead and show you guys once again, looking at the water vapor imagery here and the reflectivity as far as satellite imagery goes. And you can see these big bright colors here, very, very heavy rainfall off the coast. And this is going to continue to push in these rain bands over Louisiana, over Mississippi, over Alabama. We've already seen rainfall totals of over a foot of rainfall in a lot of areas. Those rainfall amounts are going to continue to go up as we watch the system work its way east and northeast. We've actually got marine warnings. These are basically for water spouts offshore. If these can make it inland, we can get spin up tornadoes as well. So this is something that we have to watch very closely. I want to come back down here to this 40%. So this has been upgraded to a now medium chance for tropical development. This was sitting at a low-end chance for the last, I don't know, 6 to 10 days. It was originally in the Caribbean, now it's in the Yucatan, and now we are starting to potentially see the chances for something to develop by early next week here in the Yucatan, and this could actually track into Texas or Louisiana as we go through next week, and this is something we're going to have to watch. I don't think this is going to be a hurricane as of right now, but this could be a tropical depression. This would be our next named storm on the list. I think it's Francine, if I'm correct on that. I'll have to double check on that and make sure. But it's going to more than likely be our next name on the list if this continues to go. Now, this has got a 20% chance of developing over the next 2 days and a 40% chance in the next 7 days. So I do think that this number could potentially climb. Now, like I said, the European and the GFS models are showing a low-end tropical depression with this by next week. We'll just kind of see if that continues to trend, and I'll talk more about that here in just a second as well for you guys. But really not looking at any organized convection, just a lot of rain, a lot of heavy rain falling for a lot of areas. I do want to go ahead and also talk about, we do have another area here in the Pacific Ocean. This could bring some impacts to Baja California potentially later on next week if this does in fact develop. We'll keep you guys updated on that as well. And then we do have still a 10% chance out here in the Atlantic Ocean. I don't expect this to be anything as of right now. We'll keep an eye on that. Now, really quickly, once again, you see these colors on the map. This is not for severe weather. This is for flooding. Level 1 risk in the green, level 2 risk in the yellow, and level 3 out of 4 risk in the red there. If you were in that moderate risk, Baton Rouge, Hammond, Manville, Slidell, we've got New Orleans, a lot of these areas here, metropolitans here in this area, this is going to be for flash flooding. So be mindful of travel, be mindful of your water levels, be mindful of the creek streams, just be alert for flash flooding over the next, really, I'd say 5 to 10 days, as we're going to see another system potentially come through next week. Now, the New Orleans radar here is showing a lot of heavy rain off the coast here. This is starting to work its way into New Orleans. We're going to continue to see this spinning cycle. This is a tropical system, not named. So we are seeing, tropical condition-like features here. Just a lot of heavy rain moving inland here. Couldn't rule out a couple tornado warnings as well if these, onshore water spouts do make it inland. Now, I do want to show you guys just over the last, let's go back here. Just over the last 24 hours here as far as precip goes. Let's do 48 hours. A lot of this is falling offshore, but you can see these higher pockets here off the coast of Louisiana. As we get into yesterday, 10 inches of rainfall here just south of New Iberia, Lafayette here, getting closer to the New Orleans area. We've now seen over 3 to 5 inches of rainfall in New Orleans over the last 48 hours. This is going to continue to increase as far as the intensity goes. Then over here in Apalachicola, we're seeing rainfall totals increase around 3 to 5 inches, and then back here into Florida as well, seeing rainfall increase. So a lot of tropical conditions rain features ongoing here across the Gulf Coast and Southeast, and this is really going to continue once again for the next 5 to potentially 10 days as far as another system coming in. Now, I want to show you guys what the next couple of hours could look like here. You're going to start to see a little bit of a spin circulation because this does have a low associated with it, but the worst of the precip is still hopefully going to stay offshore, but right around the New Orleans area here over the next couple of hours, we could start to see that rainfall dwindle a little bit before this low starts to kind of work its way toward the Mississippi, Alabama, and Florida area before bringing rain into the Florida Panhandle, parts of Central Florida, into Alabama, and into Georgia later on over the next couple of days. And we're going to continue to watch that tropical area of development for you guys. One other thing I do want to show you guys is we do have a severe weather risk for today as well. I did not want to forget about this. This is up here into the Ohio Valley. Marginal risk for severe weather. We actually have a upper level low that is bringing that fall-like weather that's continuing to be here for the next 2 to 3 days before we transition back over to average temperatures again. And I'll talk about that here in just a minute. But could see a line of storms develop from Louisville, Kentucky, all the way up to Rochester, New York City. Just kind of be mindful of that, but nothing really severe at all with this. Wind would be the biggest threat out of this, and then maybe an isolated hailstone or two over at 1 inch. So kind of be mindful of that as we go through the next couple of days. Really the bigger threat is going to be, like I said, that flash flooding, the potential that we're going to see. And one more thing that I want to talk to you guys associated here with the tropics, and this is going to be, hold on 1 second, guys. There we go. Sorry, y'all. This is going to be associated here with the tropics and that 40% risk zone chance that we're going to see here. And this is what the GFS has unlocked or is showing over the next couple of days. By Sunday, we could start to see a low circulation develop over the Yucatan here. This could develop into potentially a tropical depression of Francine or tropical storm Francine. You can start to see this drops at around 101, 997 by Tuesday next week. This is where we start to get concerned for a lot of rainfall in southern Texas. They need the rainfall, so they'll get that rainfall. This will be in New Mexico, but watching to see if this low actually stays inland or offshore here, basically, meaning, you know, this could maybe strengthen a little bit more potentially as far as intensity goes. So we're going to keep an eye on this for you guys over the next couple of days. If I start to see anything alarming, I'll definitely break in and do some more updates for you guys on this and a little bit more in detail updates for you guys. But continuing to watch the tropics. Now, the bigger picture is going to be what happens over the next couple of days as far as, and really over the next 2 weeks, as far as the overall jet stream pattern for us here in the United States. And right now, you guys can still see the fact that we are seeing that upper level low here with that associated cold air coming down out of Canada here. High pressure ridge continuing to bring this heat wave over here in the West Pacific. Seeing tropical surge of moisture down here in the Gulf Coast. So that's the overall pattern right now. What's going to happen as we go into the weekend and into next week? That low pressure system is actually going to exit the country. We're going to start to develop a ridge, sort of kind of a ridge here, over, once again, the central United States, but we're not going to see much of anything as far as rain goes, really, I'd say, over the next 5 to 8 days here in the central United States, the Rockies, the Ohio Valley. It's going to be relatively quiet as far as that goes. Now, as we go into middle of next week, this is where the models are starting to show a more uptick in severe weather. We haven't had a lot of severe weather over the last 2 weeks, which has been super, super nice. It's been quiet. It's been relaxing. But what we're going to see as we go into September, and I've kind of talked about this the last couple of days, is these upper trough ejections and these bigger trough ejections that are going to start to enter the country. And we've really got to watch this next Wednesday and next Thursday. I do think, one, we could have a tropical system down here potentially in the Gulf Coast once again. You guys pay attention to that down there. But this big, giant mega trough ejection, this is typically something you see during the springtime, associated with different season changes. Well, now we're going to start to see this during the fall and winter changing months because of the battle of the seasons. We're going to have warm Gulf moist air coming in out of the Gulf of Mexico, cooler air. We're going to start to see snow showers break out across Canada and then along the northern part of the United States and the higher elevation areas, Montana, Washington. You'll start to see those colder air signatures come in. But that helps create severe weather. That helps create forcing. That helps create lift. That helps create your temperature inversions that you need for severe weather to initiate. I really think as we go into next weekend, next Thursday through Saturday, we're going to have some type of potential significant severe weather event, mediocre severe weather event. There's going to be some type of severe weather that happens next week, whether that's in the Central Plains. I do think that's going to be a possibility off the Rockies here, but you start to see these bowling ball troughs come in, and these typically signal, like I said, severe weather. So this is something we're going to have to watch, especially as the next weekend. And then just, this is about 8 days plus out, so we've got to watch these models continuously. You take these with a grain of salt. It's anything that's after 7 days. But I want to show you guys something, and this is something I've really hinted at over the last couple of days, or really over the last couple of weeks, talking about the fall. We get into that third week of September here, and we start to see the weather pattern get a little bit more extra, is what I'll say with the word here. We get more of these low pressure systems that can cause severe weather. Some of these can have snow with them. You start to see this West Pacific La Nina jet stream maybe start to be a factor here. We're going to start to have that conversation as well. But we start to see these a very, very active jet stream, especially as we get closer and closer to the end of September. So for my people that live in the Central Plains and Northern Plains, the Ohio Valley, the Deep South, you guys have got to be on alert for fall severe weather season. A lot of people don't think about tornadoes during the fall. They think about the fall leaves changing. They think about the pumpkin pie, all that stuff, the fall, like the foliage, the leaves falling, all of that. And then the transition to snow. We don't think about severe weather, and we've got to think about severe weather, especially as we go into that fall severe weather season, because we've had a lot of tornado outbreaks, severe weather outbreaks, major tornadoes happen in the fall and winter months, and I don't want people to let their guards up as far as that goes going overall. So we've got to watch this pattern. I do think as we get closer and closer and closer to the end of September, things will start to ramp up as far as significant severe weather goes, and we'll start to see our outbreaks potentially again and all of that stuff. Now, one more thing I want to show you guys, and I will be done for the day, and that is going to be the temperature inversions that we're going to see here, or the temperature differences. Still seeing that cold, cooler air mass ejected here over the eastern half of the United States, warm air continuing to build over the West Pacific here. But as we go into next week, I do expect everything to start to ramp back up. We're going to start to see temperatures back into the upper 80s, back into the 90s, triple digits, well across the board here. This will be as that cool air finally moves out. We'll be back to above average temperatures by the end of next week, and then we start to see that, once again, trough ejection building in the west. You see temperatures cooler in the west, warmer over here in the east. You see that trough ejection come through, that cold front coming through the Central Plains there, and we could see some severe weather that could set up with that. But the overall temperature patterns, everything's going to go back to above average for the month of September. I think potentially at average or above average, and before we start to see that cooler air start to build in towards the end of September, we can actually start to see some snow showers fall across much of the West Pacific. So that's what I've got for you guys today. I know that's a lot of information. I do appreciate y'all for watching this. If you have questions, comments, concerns, put them in the comments. Like the video, share this out to people. I want to get people prepared for fall severe weather season, as this fall severe weather transition season could be a bigger one, I think, in my opinion. So we'll keep you guys updated on the tropics, the rain totals, all of that stuff. If I need to break in and do some weather coverage later on this week, I'll do that for you guys. But stay safe, stay weather aware, guys, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.